Today we are going to be talking about Felix Mendelssohn, the famed Romantic era composer. Felix Mendelssohn was born Jacob Ludwig Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy on the 3rd of February 1809 in Hamburg, Germany to Abraham and Lee Mendelssohn. Now, just to clarify why as to the different last name, his parents were Jewish, however, as to try to better acclimate into German society, tried to add on a different last name. However, at this point, no one really listens to that, so that explains that. His parents were very much into the arts and wanted the family to seem as intellectual and artistically charged as possible. So, aside from music, he also studied languages and the arts. He started playing piano at 6, organ at 11, and began studying counterpoint at 10. And he also started composing at a very early age too. His first published piano sonata was released when he was 13, and his first symphony was completed at the age of 15. Now, aside from composing, which he's very well known for, he's also very well known for bringing back the music of Bach. Before the time of Mendelssohn, after a composer died, there was basically a situation where their music died with them. So, when Mendelssohn in 1829 re-premiered, as it were, St. Matthew's Passion in front of Germany, they hadn't heard the piece, since the death of Bach. So after this having happened, people thought it was okay for the music of deceased composers to start being performed again. Mendelssohn also was very much into travel. One of his favorite places was England, specifically Scotland. And Scotland inspired his Hebrides Overture, which is kind of a tribute to Scotland. Mendelssohn was also the favorite composer of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, if you needed any more confirmation that Felix Mendelssohn was an incredible composer. Let's see. In 1843, Mendelssohn founded the Leipzig Conservatory. Robert Schumann, who was a friend of Mendelssohn, was called to help him with the establishment of this new conservatory. It is now called the Hochschule für Musik und Theater Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy, Leipzig, obviously in honor of Mendelssohn having founded the conservatory. In 1847, Mendelssohn went to England for a final time. He was the soloist of Beethoven's 4th Piano Concerto, and he conducted his own Scottish symphony for Queen Victoria and her husband, Prince Albert. Unfortunately, Mendelssohn, having not been of a particularly healthy temperament for his life, was greatly weakened by having gone on this journey. And in 1847, he died at the age of just 38. There's just a really beautiful quote here that I have that Mendelssohn said regarding death, that where it is to be hoped that there is still music, but there's no more sorrow or partings, which I think is very beautiful. In 1837, just kind of going into some personal details about Mendelssohn. In 1837, Mendelssohn married Cecile Charlotte Sophie Jovenat, and they had 5 children, one of them having become a chemist, which, if you needed any more clarification, that the Mendelssohn family was very high achieving. The family was very happy from all reports, and personal opinion, I believe this is very much reflected in the sound of Felix Mendelssohn, which we will use as a segue into the next part of this video. As I said, the sound of Felix Mendelssohn tends to be very light. It's very happy, typically. He's very well known for the Midsummer Night's Dream Overture, his Scottish Symphony, as I had said, and the very popular Christmas song, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and the Wedding March, which was actually from Midsummer Night's Dream. If it wasn't for Queen Victoria's daughter having used that wedding march, by the way, we probably wouldn't have remembered it. We are going to be focusing on a few of his most important works today, however. One of these works being his oratorio Elijah, which was taken from parts of the Bible from the Old Testament and then set for full chorale and orchestral accompaniment. Another piece of his that is very well known is his Songs Without Words, which is a piece of, or rather a collection of, I believe, 8 opuses, and several pieces contained within each of these, of all piano music that it varies in level between intermediate to late advanced. Now, interestingly enough, these pieces, which were published during the entirety of his lifetime, it's assumed that a few of these pieces were not actually written by Mendelssohn, but rather by his sister Fanny Mendelssohn, who was a composer herself, who wrote a lot of piano music and some vocal works, and I believe string works as well. Unfortunately, because it was harder for female composers to actually become published, they were published under her brother's name. We are going to be focusing on Mendelssohn's organ sonatas. Now, Mendelssohn was commissioned to write this collection of 6 organ sonatas. Now, these organ sonatas are not really sonatas, because none of the pieces actually follow a sonata form. You'll find everything from fugues, things that more or less sound like preludes, pieces that are kind of variations on a chorale,